What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about something very different from what I typically talk about. Many people have requested that I make a video about AMC stock and talk about its squeeze potential, so I'm going to just do that for this one. I will talk about SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, and all these different stocks out there tomorrow, but for today, I want to just talk about AMC stock. Now, before breaking things about AMC and talk about the opportunity in this stock and why this thing is up like crazy and what could be playing out for the next couple of days, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And don't forget about the Webull link. The offer ends very soon. If you deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends in just 11 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. AMC is up almost 63% in the after hours, holding up quite nicely. But the real question is, why is it running like this and what actually happened? I'm going to try to make this video very, very short and concise and break down the entire situation for you and break down why AMC does have some squeeze potential, in my opinion. Now, am I saying it's going to go to all-time highs? Not necessarily. Am I saying it's going to go to some insanely high number like 100 or like 50 a share? No, I'm not really saying that. But I do believe it could run up quite nicely from here because of FOMO and lots of buyers. I'm going to break down exactly why that is. So just so you guys know, when you look at SPY, this is looking kind of bearish right now, right? The market's looking kind of weak. Tesla's looking kind of weak as we're approaching some big events such as the earnings season, not to mention the FOMC meeting. But AMC, however, looks like it could get a pump because of the news that came out. I'm going to break down why this is, why on earth the entire settlement denial from the court is leading to upside, and how this actually works. So all this news is coming out that AMC denies the judge has denied an AMC settlement on the stock conversion. But what does this actually mean? Basically, for AMC, when you go back to like August of 2022, there were just AMC shares. It was its own stock, basically. And then what happened was AMC made an announcement that they're going to be issuing these things called APEs, or these equity units. And these APEs were used as a tool, okay, for AMC to raise money. And the way it worked was you had about 516 million AMC shares in total. And then AMC matched every single one of them by creating these things called APEs. They took some value from the AMC shares and created the APEs. So 516 million APEs were created. In case you guys don't know what those were, they were just equity units, which AMC used to raise cash and to do other things. After AMC created these equity units, they became their own ticker. So that's why you have these APEs. They took some value from AMC stock and created APE with it. And by doing this, they were trying to raise more funds and just do a bunch of other things. But the problem was APE lost so much value when AMC actually is like worth a lot more than it. And if APE does end up converting into AMC stock, APE is going to gain value. So it's going to go up in value just approaching any announcement like that. And AMC is going to lose value. Why? Because AMC is going to be diluted by something that's much cheaper than it, basically. So let's explain this in a very simple way to understand. We had 516 million AMC shares. Then we had APEs created, 516 million of the APEs created as well. After the creation of the APE, basically AMC continued to dilute APE. That's why the APE price is so low. At least that's playing somewhat of a role. And there's also manipulation that played a role in other factors. They issued 125 million more, then even more of them. And overall, this added to a total of over 900 million APEs overall. Now, what AMC was trying to do is, you have to remember, there are 900 million APEs which were legally and completely legally being issued. And we had 516 million AMC shares in total. So they're two separate entities, two separate stocks in a way. Even though APE is technically not a stock, it's kind of like one. And then after that, AMC made an offer. AMC is saying that they want to convert these APEs into AMC shares. Now, if that were to happen, if the APEs turn into AMC shares, AMC is going to be diluted by something that's cheaper than it, which will lead the share price to dropping. That would turn these 900 million APEs into AMC shares. They're currently 500 million AMC shares. Combine them together, combine number 1 and 3 together, and you get 1.4 billion AMC shares. That's going to be the new float if we get an APE conversion. Then during the reverse stock split, it's very simple. If you don't know what a reverse stock split is, basically if you had 1,000 AMC shares worth $1 each, in the event of a reverse stock split, what's going to happen is you're not going to have $1,000 from just like 1,000 different AMC shares worth $1 each. Instead, you're going to have your $1,000 from 100 AMC shares worth $10 each. That's a reverse stock split or a 1-for-10 split. So basically, there are going to be less shares, and they're basically going to use this to raise more cash. They could use this as a strategy to dilute AMC more to raise more capital. Why are they trying to raise more capital? Because we're likely going to be entering a recession soon, and these companies need more leverage and liquidity. And that's all part of their game. Now, here's the problem. If this were to happen, if there is some kind of conversion like this, right, this would lead to AMC artificially going up in value. Remember, your 1,000 AMC shares, which were once worth $1 each, instead, it's going to turn into 100 AMC shares worth $10 each. That's how the reverse stock split would work. And then, if that's the case, if AMC's share price is artificially going to go up like that, the valuation, the market cap is going to be the same. What would happen is this would be more subjected to manipulation, in my opinion. It could drop a lot more. There are more dollars for it to fall, and this could actually hurt AMC. But at the same time, AMC could dilute AMC. Basically, the AMC board could do that, and then they could raise more cash. So there's some good and bad things associated with this. Now, why is this so important? Well, a lot of people do not like the idea of diluting ape and turning all the apes into AMC shares. So many people went to court and they started fighting. They started fighting and fighting and fighting. And then AMC came up with a settlement to help settle the case, to end it, so that they could continue to proceed with what they're doing. And what happened was any piece of news that favors this eventually happening, the reverse stock split, would cause AMC stock to drop if it happens. If there's news that is making it less likely to happen, such as the judges stopping the settlement or anything like that, that would cause AMC to go up. The judges stopped the settlement, which means AMC was not able to settle the case. This means that if AMC wants to dilute its stock by converting the apes, into AMC shares, it would have to take much longer. It's going to be much more difficult. It could take them many months, another year. Who knows? It's going to be very difficult for them. And for now, this is a big victory for the retail side because the judge has so far favored in favor of them for the settlement. Now, this does not mean that the ape conversion is impossible. It can still happen, but the odds of it happening have gone down, and it's much more difficult for AMC to make it happen. That's why retail is celebrating, because the judge did technically do something that favors retail, and they've denied the settlement, which once again will help AMC maintain its value and not be diluted by ape for the near term. All right, so that's how I'm seeing it. Why is this bullish news? What is so good about this? Because now that AMC is going to maintain its intrinsic value, it has the potential to start running a lot more. More and more individuals are going to start buying into it as the hype is going to come up. And then to add on to this, you have to remember that we have like the documents right here on Twitter about how this whole thing went down. And you can see right here, for the foregoing reasons, this is just an entire 69-page document. Funny how it's 69 pages about the proposed settlement, how it's not approved. The parties should confer on and submit a schedule for the remainder of the case, and the plaintiffs need to basically file a consolidated complaint. So there's a whole lot going on still. I'm not going to say that the whole ape conversion's over yet, but the settlements did favor retail, which is a very big victory for us. And in essence, there's going to be more buying pressure for AMC. Why is that important? Because AMC has a very high cost to borrow at 992%, with only 30,000 shares available to borrow. That's significant because it's very hard to borrow AMC shares, and AMC has more and more potential to run up because of it. So as more people start buying into AMC, what's going to happen is a lot of these out of the money calls, you can see there are about 76,000 out of the money for next Friday, and only about 9,000 in the money. But more of them are going to end up in the money. The more end up in the money, the more likely it is for there to be a gamma squeeze. Why? Because there's gamma for AMC when the market makers start to hedge. What could cause that? If we get more calls in the money than out of the money, the market makers will hedge by buying shares. When they buy shares, they're going to push the share price up like crazy. That's what's going to lead to a gamma squeeze and more FOMO and potentially even a short squeeze, right? Those are possibilities. Now, what do I think is going to happen? I think some shorts are going to start covering. We're going to see lots of retail FOMO into this stock, and it's going to move this thing up like crazy. Now, do I think it's going to go to all-time highs? I'm not really counting on that. But I believe there is potential and money that could be made when watching this thing break above $9. If it breaks 9, you're going to be watching $12, then potentially 15 after that. But please be aware that it tends to pump and dump. It's happened many times. In June, it technically happened over a period of a few months. It happened in March of 2022. It happened in January of 2021. It also happened in August of 2022. And since then, it's been very flat. So we're going to be watching for a nice push to the upside. It could break past $9, if not all the way up to about 10 plus a share, 12 a share, 13 a share, 15 a share. They're all very possible targets. If it breaks even like 15 to 16, we could even see 20. Crazy money can be made on this if you learn to play it right, but always remember to secure profits on those options and to be very careful with it. Now, is this great news? Sure, it's good news. It's very good for AMC as a company in a way where we could see an increase in improvement in the share price. But please be well aware that every time it ran up very hard, it does tend to come back down. So be prepared for that and make sure you watch it very carefully in the process. All right, guys. So that's what I have for this video. I want to make this as clear as possible. AMC could still try to dilute its overall stock again with the ape conversion in the future. It's just much more difficult for them. It's going to take much longer for them. They don't have the power to do it on their own without shareholder approval. And it's very difficult for them to pull all of this off, especially after getting denied by the courts. The courts favored retail. They favored AMC maintaining its value and not being diluted by something that's much cheaper, such as Ape. That's what's bullish news. People are excited about this. People who did not like the conversion are very happy, and we're going to see retail FOMO into this. And if it keeps going up, you're going to be watching the options chain. Could we get more calls in the money than out the money for Friday? And simultaneously, there's a very high cost to borrow, which makes it harder for institutions to short AMC. With all of that said, there's upside potential for the stock thanks to this, and I think it's going to run into the double digits at the very least. All right. So make sure you're very careful with it. I want to just call this out. And for the remainder of my videos, I will talk more about like SPY, Tesla, and all these different tickers. Please remember we have the FOMC meeting and big tech earnings coming out for next week. They may cause a slowdown. So if that's the case in the markets, you have another play to watch, and that's AMC. Just wanted to call that out. And with that said, that's what I have for this one. I want to keep it nice, sweet, and short for the weekend. Thank you for listening. Have a good one, everyone. AMC to the moon, as the long term is very bright alongside the whole market. And peace out.